Hi, everybody. This is day 1347. Okay, let's see if I'm on. What's going on here? So, happy Easter Monday. Let's see if I'm on. Doesn't look like I'm on. And get out of this completely and get back in there. There we go. I just had to reload it. Okay. Now I can see everybody's comments. So we have breaking news every day, and we had it this over Easter. I didn't want to mention it too much. I told everybody that we had conflicts of interest, and I don't know what to do about this except for just tell everybody about it. Hold on, let me see if I can lower this just a little bit there. And I just feel like I need to tell you what's going on. We received the video of Richard's traffic stop in a parking lot by a Canine cop named, well, there's two of them. One of them is Jesus Melendez, and he is the canine cop. You can find him pretty easily because it seems like he was in some shows on TV or some productions. So you can find him pretty easily. His pictures, and we've compared his pictures to other Melendez, and it's startling what's coming up. But it seems, first of all, that Jesus Melendez and Miguel Carzoli, I need to always write that name down because for some reason, I think so. I think that's, hopefully I remembered it right. These are the two. Well, first of all, the canine cop is the one that makes the traffic stop. And then because canine cops really don't make traffic stops, and especially at midnight in a parking lot that's very well lit, for a car to drive with a young man in it, without his lights on in a well lit parking lot. And you can see in the video that the parking lot is very well lit. And we went to that area, both parking lots that is discussed in this video and in the report, and they are very well lit because there is a unit there, a gang unit there that's made up of different agencies, and so that and that's our like headquarters, that's our office building or whatever, and that includes the FBI, and so they they are right there, and that parking lot is very, very well lit, probably because of that reason. And so why would uh, Jesus Melendez um, violate Richard's rights by making a traffic stop in a parking lot at midnight when Richard really wasn't doing anything wrong at all, not anything to warrant, like if he was driving, swerving, hitting like a sign or whatever, missing the exit, going over the uh, the curb or something like this, something that I can understand that. And Jesus Melendez, I don't know. This is the intelligence that we're getting back, is that Jesus Melendez seems to have apparently two DWIs himself. So, and other things. He does not seem, you know, he doesn't seem to glitter, right? And they put him in this light, and the military did not even check. The CID didn't even check because they absolutely know who Melendez is, right? He's a star. He's a star and he's very well paid. But it seems that it wasn't Richard who, needed to be stopped. It seems that Jesus Melendez was stopped twice. And I don't know if he was dismissed. I don't know. I don't think his cases were dismissed. I think this is the intelligence we're getting. I hope that he reaches out, because what happened to Richard seems to have more background than what than, oh, he was driving without his headlights in a parking lot. I think it was a little bit more than that, a lot more than that. And this was an unjust traffic stop. And it was, in my opinion, an attempt to discredit a whistleblower. They had to try to discredit a whistleblower. Richard was the distinguished undergraduate for his cycle in basic training in AIT. He was a stellar soldier. He was promoted before his peers. Okay, that means that he was very quick in being promoted, above average in quickness and time. So over and above his peers, he was promoted. And so he was a stellar soldier. What were they going to do with him when he became a whistleblower? When his stellar soldiering also entailed not going along with selling of military weapons across the border illegally, or creating child pornography and selling it, or airdropping it everywhere, or other sex cult crimes that is just out of control, or the narcotics trafficking that's in the barracks on post. These are all very, very serious crimes. The child sex trafficking crimes. Richard absolutely did not go along with them. And we know that because he was reporting it. And in the FBI, not the FBI, but the CID report that we received, that's like a first grade work from Veltri, from, she's supposed to be this special agent and everything. But she did a terrible job because she forgot to put in so much, including what makes Richard clearly a whistleblower, which is the PI Phil Waters interview with Belen Rocha and Danae Katzen. And, they don't seem to be there. Why not? The CID met with him multiple times. Why didn't he do that? So, so Richard absolutely was a stellar soldier. He had an amazing record, 3 AAMs, and they downplayed it. When we got there, they were trying to downplay everything. And what they upplayed was that he had this traffic stop. And they did not tell us that Jesus Melendez seemingly, apparently, has a record for DWI himself and other things. Um, you know, uh, Miguel Carzoli could have warned us, right? But he also went along with this setup, this frame job on Richard. And there's more to it, y'all. There is more to it because um, the Melendez family seems to be very connected to the Walmart case. Okay, to the Walmart case with David Johnson. David Johnson's daughter is a Melendez. And so once again, Richard's case is connected to the Walmart case. Over and over again, Richard's case is connected to the Walmart case. And David Johnson was murdered on August 3rd, 2019. And seemingly, apparently, his children or in-laws are Melendez. And you have Jesus Melendez stopping Richard for this traffic stop, and it's just supposed to be a coincidence. Well, I guess we'll find out, right? I guess we will find out. That is because there's more to it. There's more to it. And, it connects more and more people. The family tree is very, very interesting. And, I think that is the problem here is I don't know who does human resources, who is giving people these positions, but they seem to be in on it too, because Soto shouldn't be where he's at. Soto, Marlon Soto Hernandez, Cynthia Hernandez Nieto shouldn't be where she's at. Absolutely, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr. should not be the supervisory director for the FBI. No way. No way. There is too many ties to that area, too many relatives, and absolute breeding ground for conflicts of interest, which means criminal activity. So, so for Richard's case, seemingly again, we know that it is connected to Alexander Gerhard Hoffman wrote because of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia targeting Richard's case, absolutely targeting Richard's case in Juarez and in the United States to sabotage Richard's case, and also her son, Thomas Hoffman. We know that Richard's case is connected that way through Leilani Hart with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. We also know now that Richard is connected to David Johnson. And, David Johnson has many, many, many connections. He's was there in that area for many, many years. And for his family to be Melendez's, and not just any Melendez's, but those involved seemingly, apparently, in the traffic stop in a parking lot at midnight by a canine cop named Melendez, Jesus Melendez. And, that seems to be a more common name than Bernabe. Bernabe is not that common of a name for the commanding officer that we had to deal with of Fort Bliss when we were there. And, all these generals, General Clem Coward, and also Michael Garrett. And, you can go to McConville, you can go to Mealy. They have conflicts of interest. So I think that is huge. Let me see, got 7. Good evening. Happy Easter. Thank you for coming on. Mitzi Medina, Anicia, thank you. And Jerry, thank you so much. Justice for Richard. And I hope that everyone got a chance to see that little clip of Richard at the traffic stop. Um, you know, and the first thing I've been told, and people can correct me where I'm wrong, is that they would have to do a breathalyzer if they thought that, if they had a reason to believe that he was not sober. But clearly, in the 2 hours of video that we have, there is no breathalyzer test. And we have been told through intelligence that there really wasn't a breathalyzer test, or the breathalyzer test is absolutely tampered with, or somebody else, or just added into the paperwork. And it is clear that in that 2 hours, there was no breathalyzer test. And so that is very, very odd, because as time goes by, um, that makes that test. I mean, they're inadmissible anyway in court because the calibration, and they're just not dependable. But yes, happy Easter. Thank you so much. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Alleluia. So, uh, you know, they would absolutely have to do it right when the stop happens. If they, you know, as Jesus Melendez, oh, he's not well. He's not, really? He looked very well to me. He looked very well to me. And to find out that Jesus Melendez has a record for DWI, apparently, seemingly, and we weren't told that, because they really destroyed Richard professionally. I just can't even imagine what all that did to him. So, yeah, we have a lot of questions. And I think that Raul Melendez, who seems to be the connection with the David Johnson family. David Johnson, of course, died August 3rd, 2019 by gunshots with his granddaughter being protected. But, something is just not right. Right? There's too many questions surrounding too many of these victims. There's too many questions surrounding Memo Garcia. There's too many questions that are surrounding this Anchonda couple. There's too many questions surrounding Alexander Gerhard Hofmann wrote. There's too many questions that, in our case anyway, maybe not in other people's minds, but in our case, there's a lot of questions surrounding David Johnson. And, and I think the more we look into it, the more we're going to find all these different connections. I don't think that we fully understood what really happened on August 3rd, 2019, that Walmart mass shooting. I really don't think we understood. I think that's something, a whole different narrative um, will come out to explain what happened on that day. And and there's just too many connections with individuals from that day to Richard Halliday. Okay. So I think that is huge news. We have a lot of letters going out behind the scenes, always letters, always emails. And, we haven't gotten to everything. It takes 4 years, and we finally got a report to go through the report. And it does give you a lot of information where to send open records. And so, it just is ongoing and ongoing. And we understand that it does take a long time in this world where everything is supposed to go really, really fast. But this is about the cartel being connected and working together with individuals in the El Paso area and individuals in leadership that are in the leadership at Fort Bliss. So you have our own military working together with the cartel. That's what's going on here. And with individuals like Leilani Hart, um, seemingly, apparently, and in connection with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and Dreams Cabaret, and just up to no good with seemingly, apparently, the El Paso Community Foundation, which is very, very important because what made them the collector of all the wonderful, beautiful donations that were supposed to go to the victims. And, why is it that so far, what we know of, that the baby whose bones were broken, who lost both of his parents, okay, this beautiful baby, I don't think got a cent yet from the donations. Yet, Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, who was even arrested in all of this because of visa problems, and she's been divorced from her husband for over 20 years, I believe. And then she claims that she has common law and, just crazy stuff like this, targeting Richard's case, targeting our son's case, even in Mexico, targeting our son's case. Why? But yet she gets paid $210,000 for her and her two sons. Why is that? And the little baby, so far, I don't know, from what we've heard, hasn't gotten anything. Anything. So, what is the determining factor for El Paso Community Foundation? And, and the banking part of it, and because they own El Paso Matters, which also targeted Richard's case, targeted us, which is connected then to Bob Moore, which is connected to UTEP. And I have to tell you this, the UTEP president, absolutely, what a very rude person. And also, rather break the law than give us the open records. Because you see, Angela Kucherga works for Bob Moore's wife, Kathleen Gannon, who runs Borderzine for UTEP. Works for UTEP. And these conversations about how they targeted Richard's case, we would like the conversations. This is a tax-funded school, UTEP is, and we would like those conversations so that we know why they targeted our son's case. El Paso Matters is obstructing justice. And we have the right to those open records. And Heather Wilson absolutely doesn't care about the community, about a volunteer soldier, about El Paso. She'd rather break the law to hide whatever's in those conversations that targeted our son's case. And the same thing goes for Park University, because Park University, we know that Richard was taking classes. We would like his academic record. We want to be able to show to the world that we're not lying when we said that Richard wanted to be a CID agent, that he was pursuing law enforcement, that he was participating in the CID internship there on Fort Bliss with Marlon Soto, with Tavita Nusa, that is how he also would know some of these things that he reported on. But Park University is not releasing that academic record. And it would prove us right or prove us wrong, but they won't release it. And, under the FERPA, there is a FERPA law to give students privacy. But when you have an emergency, and this is an emergency, then family members, next of kin, can request and receive the academic records of their loved one. And yet they have not given us that. So these universities that collect thousands and thousands of dollars from our students, from the taxpayers, because don't forget, Park University was getting free buildings, free air conditioning, free water, no taxes. They were there. They're still there, but they don't have to pay. This is American taxpayers that are paying for Park University to be on the Fort Bliss footprint. And they are obstructing the investigation into the search of a missing, murdered soldier, loved one. And, so I just can't stress enough how we need public support to show that we don't approve of this. Everybody deserves the pursuit of justice. And these open records of tax-funded institutions, those tax-funded institutions, absolutely we have the right to open records from both of them. We fund them. And yet they're so bold. They're so hard-hearted. And I believe that they're criminal. And I think that they don't want to release that information because it would implicate them. And it would absolutely, when they rather break the law and take the chance to break the law. And I know Bill Hicks is another story, especially right now in the news, and I'll explain that too, because it's really fascinating. But Park University and UTEP absolutely need to be called out on this, because Richard is not just my son, not just our son, but he is a U.S. Army soldier. He is the asset for that belongs to every taxpayer. They pay for our defense. So where is the oversight? We pay Ted Cruz to do oversight of our military there on Fort Bliss. We pay Veronica Escobar to do oversight for our soldiers there on Fort Bliss. We pay these generals to take care of our volunteer sons and daughters. Follow SOP, follow the UCMJ. Be good mentors. Esprit de Corps, the Medal of Honor ethos. Army of one. And yet, what Richard was reporting on implicates not only Park University, not only UTEP, but also the leadership on Fort Bliss, because they do not give us what would be very normal to give us: the open records and help. Remember, they just kicked us out. They didn't call us, and then when we found out, they kicked us out. And it wasn't until you shared. You shared the post. Hannah had 40,000 shares. It was you, the concerned individual, that shared and said, no, we need to take care of our veterans. We need to take care of our young volunteers, sons and daughters. This is not right. These parents absolutely need to get to the bottom of this, because if we let this slip through the crack, how many of our other volunteer sons and daughters will slip through the crack? And how big will this criminal network grow? Wasting our money, not just wasting our money, but stealing our money. Stealing it. Making us poor. Yes, and not giving us a defense that we're paying for. And we see that with the Patriot missiles, that the Patriot missiles now are archaic. It's Iskander Day. Russia has the Iskander missile from a drone, and our Patriots had no chance at all. They were blown to smithereens. That just happened a couple weeks ago. And now what happens? Last week, we had a breach. We had a breach in our border right there in El Paso. And the illegals that really, what do you call that? When they just come in, infiltrators? What is the proper definition for people breaching the border, just coming in? I mean, can you imagine if we did that every time we went over to Mexico or something? We're just telling them, forget it. I'm just knocking down your barriers. I don't care about your police or whatever. I'm just going into your country. You don't have to check me or anything like that. You don't have to vet me. And they came, busting into our country, and they were arrested, but a judge let them go free. Now, that is, that's what the news report says, right? Well, we've been doing this long enough, and we've been reading about Yvonne Rosales enough to understand that all the blame went on Yvonne Rosales about these cases not moving forward. And it's the same judge that let these infiltrators go that also was reporting on these cases, right? And the media didn't get on the judge's case like they did this time. He better watch out, see? He better watch out. Now they're all over his case right now. But at that time, in the double standards of things, they were all over Yvonne Rosales. Why? Because for these individuals that busted through our border and were arrested, they needed to be prosecuted, right? Which means you need to find the crime, name the crime, document the crime, and prosecute the crime. And that goes to Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks is the district attorney. He is the one that needs to prosecute these criminals for busting through. And Bill Hicks, it's not that hard to do it. Just, don't go home so early. Stay there and, get this organized. You have a huge office there. We pay everything for you. Prosecute these criminals. And what happened is that the media didn't focus on the dereliction of duty when it comes to Bill Hicks, again, who is an illegitimate DA, and now he's acting like an illegitimate DA. No, they're focusing on the judge that they never focused on when this same argument was happening with Yvonne Rosales. It's just such double standards. And, if the DA was keen on doing their job and prosecuting crime, the judge would never let them go. So this is a DA issue. And I think that the people of El Paso need to know that, since I think there's another huge group of wannabe border busters that are coming up, and people get hurt that way, and it's not a good thing to start your life in the United States breaking the law. Why do we need those that want to so readily break our laws just to get into the country? And I say this because my son-in-law, he had to go through the whole system, to get his visa. And then COVID happened, and and he had to end up going back to South Korea with his family, which is my family. So, I definitely understand immigration, immigrants. We're an immigration family. So this is about law enforcement. That's what this is about. And it is about justice, and it is about those that are obstructing justice. And, I would really say that UTEP and Park University really, really have obstructed justice and even committed crimes. So, tell you. So thank you so much, everybody. And we, sometimes I'm left speechless every day coming on here. But I hope that you understand what I'm saying, that it's up to us It's up to us together. And we really love you for this, because your shares, you coming on, you giving this time when we're coming up to 4 years, is really, really important, because this is the future. The future is at stake. And we need to work together, because it's not parties anymore, like the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. They're just a bunch of criminals. I'm just telling you, they're just a bunch of thieving criminals. And I will say that with the Walmart case, the way they went after President Trump, I really believe, and I know that Richard's case came first before the Walmart case. Um, and so we know that there were audits. And we believe that the Walmart case was a diversion for the audits, for the trouble that this criminal network was looking at. And that would be under President Trump. That we know through the reports from Veltri that Richard was talking to Washington, D.C., that he was talking to FBI Houston, that he was absolutely whistleblowing. We know that through this report. And it's amazing they didn't redact it, but there it is. And we know through Berlin, we know through other soldiers that reached out to us, that Richard was whistleblowing. And to the Child Protective Services, to the IG, he was whistleblowing. And we know through the generals that they were under audit. They were under weapons audit. And we know through the Dog and Pony Show task force find Richard Halliday without an op board, they still had 15 plus agencies there. The worst criminals maybe get 5. Richard had 15 plus, including ATF and Interpol. So ATF means that there was some problems with weapons. And, Glennon Oakley Jr., rest in peace, died in his barracks April 8th, 2020. This is a huge indication that they did not like his testimony about the M4s at the mall. The M4s at the mall, military weapons at the mall. So there's lots and lots of evidence that shows that Richard was whistleblowing, that there is supporting evidence that what Richard was whistleblowing on, and we believe that it came before the Walmart mass shooting, and that was a diversion. And then they used it also to target President Trump and his followers, the MAGA Republicans. That's very, very clear, because they orchestrated this manifesto. They orchestrated a criminal, Ernest Christopher Grant, that has also conflicts of interest in all of this, with Donna Sifford and with the police officer and with others. It seems like, anyway. So, they orchestrated this narrative to target President Trump and MAGA, which is election interference. So in their diversion, they were targeting the election interference, which you can't compare President Trump with the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, because he's just Donald Trump, right? He's just Donald Trump, and he's very, very wealthy. So he has the freedom to speak, uh, and to do the audits, um, which is very, very interesting in all of this because William Timmons, our representative, is just scared to death. Um, and you have Lindsey Graham, our senator, totally scared to death. You have Ted Cruz being, he wasn't scared. He wasn't scared. He actually did something. Um, and I just have to tell the truth on that. But he got flipped off. He got put in his place by Christine Wormuth. And she wasn't arrested because she's 23 ranks lower than him. So, it's like, excuse me, you're a sitting senator, and this Army Secretary of the Army is flipping you off, disrespecting you, and she's your subordinate. That was so interesting. And then, of course, uh, you have Veronica Escobar, who um, is up to no good, is just up to no good. She's bad news, y'all. So, and she didn't even want to meet with Trump. So I'm getting more and more convinced that Trump was really pushing for the audits there, and this was a retaliation against him for doing that and for his supporters. That's how it looks to me. If you have a different opinion, if you know different things, absolutely right. But that's how this looks. It looks like election interference, retaliation against Trump, as well as what happened with the traffic stop in a very well lit parking lot by a canine cop. And that canine cop seems to be, it's very clear, has a record for DWI and also is family connected to one of the victims in the Walmart case, and a very important victim in the Walmart case. I mean, they're all important, but he I believe is a veteran, David Johnson. So he has a connection with Fort Bliss, a long connection with Fort Bliss. So that's breaking news. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jerry, for coming on. Thank you, Mitzi. Thank you, Anicia. And keep praying. And please keep sharing, keep commenting, and keep liking. Thank you. God